Namaste, namaste, family of light. Reverend Sharon Elizabeth here, also known as Baba Sharon. We are here at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light and have some beautiful light workers here, physically here at the Cosmic Center, which is located in Sarasota, Florida, in the United States. And also, we have some beautiful light workers that are signing on to our Zoom, and we're going to be participating, doing the anchoring light transmission meditation, which has been taking place every single Monday without fail for 15 years. 15 years, yeah. So there's a reason why we all show up once a week for 15 years, because we come to know that we are an integral part of the divine plan. And if you're hearing these words, then you're most certainly a part of the spiritual hierarchy. You could say that we are the boots on the ground. We're the ones that came in this incarnation with a body wrap and the whole 9 yards. Very much part of the gravitational pull of the planet. And but there are other levels of reality, and that is what I want to talk about. But before I do, real quick, if you are seeing this live broadcast currently, I know some of you look around this time to hear it. If not, it usually comes on your feed at some point. And for some of you, it'll be something that's brand new. And if this is something you resonate with, or kind of sense or feel something about it, or would like to have questions about it, then please feel free to join us in the actual meditation itself, which will be taking place in just a couple of minutes from now. But that is through Zoom only. It's not on Facebook Live. So that you would have to sign up and register. It's free to the public. We depend on donations pretty much exclusively to continue this work. We're here now 10 years in this incarnation, but of course, there's many other things that have led up to where we are presently. So if you have an interest, just look on our Facebook page at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light, and you will see the anchoring light transmission meditation with Baba Sharon. That's me. My spiritual name is Baba Sharon. Given to me from the ascended realms. They said I was now in the cycle of sagehood. They said, they're like, no, you're not going to be running with the gang anymore. You're in a new role. So anyway, I've accepted that. Anyway, let me just talk. When I was coming in, there was a little bit of a discussion. And, so I said, how do you prove God? How do you prove, the unseeable, the untouchable, the unsmellable, all of those 5 physical senses that we have in being a body wrap. And so you come into this world, and your world is the circumstances that you find yourself in. And for most people, not all, that's, whoever an adult is, whether that's your parents or a guardian or whatever. And you come into a structure that's already been structured. It's like, wow, I've come into the world and things are the way they are. And you are told that, well, this is how it is. This is how we've always done it. And this is how it always will be. Okay, so that's part of everybody's initiation. And for the most part, you come in, you're like, well, I guess that makes sense. I guess I'll go to school. I guess I need to, learn. I guess I need to be successful in life. I guess I need to make money. I guess I get. So it's all very, yes, this is it. And the other part to that is too, along with all of that, you're told like basic histories. Well, this is the way it is for us. That's the way it is for them. This is us. They are they. All these now, sort of parameters of everything. But as every child first comes in and they still have that innocence, they just gravitate to another human. They're like, hey, small human, yay. They don't see color or race or culture, or religion, or none of that stuff. Okay, it's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. Okay, everybody starts out innocent. Okay, they're like, I could do anything. I just love the world. And this is the world. In fact, life is a great wonderment. It's a great wonderment. There are people, okay, who have experienced poverty and didn't know they were poor. They had no clue they were poor. They were like, oh, really? Because there was no sense of comparison, so they had limited resources and so forth, but they were happy. Okay, so it's looking like, some cultures, they don't have much money, but here they're living by this in a hut. Okay, this beautiful ocean and sea breeze, and they go and they get fish and they eat. The resources are little, but they're not in a skyscraper and they're not looking over that and so forth. I was like, well, who gauges happiness? They're both happy, I think. Okay, so bringing this all into the matrix. That's the name of this topic, is the matrix. And the matrix is what I just described. You're born into the matrix. Okay, and you come in, you say, well, that's just the way it is. My father has done it. My grandfather has done it. My great grandfather has done it. And well, my mother, grandmother, great grandmother. So one of the things I'm going to say, this little joke that I used to say all the time when I was in corporate America, is that you had a newlywed, and the husband noticed that his wife always cut the end part of a roast and threw out the bone and the rest of the meat. And he said, well, why are you doing that? And she said, because my mother's always done it. It was over at his mother-in-law's house, and he saw the same thing and asked, why do you do that? And she says, because my mother's always done it. And so he happened to see the grandmother. He says, what's this tradition? We're cutting off the ends of the meat and the bone. She said, oh, my stove was too small. Oh. So, okay. So the matrix. So, okay, there's going to be those of us that, whether it came from birth or somewhere along your journey upon the earth, there's sort of like a recapitulation, like you start to question and wonder. You start to say, well, does this rule make sense? I mean, why? You start questioning why. And then at some point, if you allow yourself not to allow the world to tell you you're crazy, that's the number one barrier. The number one barrier to your continued enlightenment is when you're not like everybody else, which you did not conform inside the matrix that you were born into. This is how it is. This is how it always be, whichever cultural stream you come from, because each cultural stream or philosophic or religious dynamic is different from the others. So it depends which one you come in from, that this is the way it is. Okay, but there's that part of you that says, I think something is off. I think there's something more. Now, if you can, or you have that innocence, that childlike innocence that's wondering and questioning, okay, if you can allow that part of yourself to grow, okay, to come into its fruition and not let it be stopped, okay, by the outside world that would turn in and say, you have not conformed, therefore you are crazy. That you have the courage to stand up and say, wait a minute, I'm not crazy. The world is crazy. And flip it. And flip it. And if you have the courage to be your authentic self, even though sometimes you'll have to be quiet. And for many light workers, they just had to keep the mouth shut. They just had to keep it shut. Okay, until you come, when you start to get to my age, that you don't care what anybody thinks about you. You have the total freedom to say whatever it is you want to say, is becoming authentic. Okay, and then you realize that you are a precious creation. Okay, and the world would say, oh, this is wrong with you. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Dad always paid football and grandpa paid football and you got to pay football, and or whatever the case may be, and you didn't measure up, and all the programming coming in to make you feel less than. And then you start to what? Conform. Yes, this is how it is. I need 2 cars and a big house and lots of money. Doesn't matter if I'm happy or I step on other people to get it, because now I got to show how successful I am, because this is the definition of successful. And this is what this looks like. This is what this like, according to the world. Right. And then you get some spark that says, something got to be better than this. Because there are those people, okay, that look at the world, and we have to remember we come into the veil of forgetfulness. So it takes a moment. It takes a moment to recapitulate and to come into your soul essence as to who you are. And there are those people that are so convinced by this matrix that this is all there is. And this is the way it has to be. And if they're not happy, they figured this is the end of it. And they take their lives. Then you have the ones that are so convinced they're in the matrix that this is it. This is the only thing to be, that they're willing to steal and cheat and do anything to make sure they have all the money in the world for them to be the happiest in this one and only time in this world. Will they be in for a surprise? Okay. Then you have those that are starting to say, I think there must be something more than this. I think there's something more. There has to be something more than the 5 physical senses. Okay, I have a sense, I'm dreaming. What's with dreams? Well, I have this sense of inspiration. Well, I have this inner knowing. What's that? What's that? That is what you pay attention to. That is what you develop. That is your soul pulse pulling you to move out of the matrix and start to see a much larger vision of what's going on. And then when you do that, you begin to see this higher horizon. You're like, wait a minute, there's a lot more going on over here. Okay. And the world has always had mystics and prophets. If you go into the most ancient civilizations, okay, there were those civilizations. Look, this is here now. But we need to have these group of people, these priestesses or priests or whoever they are, the shamans and so forth. Let them go into the spirit world, go into another world. There's some other realities going on. We need to go what's going on in here. And at least in the ancient times, they had that awareness, but that matrix has been really working from the beginning, saying, you know what? We want to control this situation. Let's get rid of the witches. Let's get rid of, burn these books, do this stuff, okay, because we want to close it back deep into the matrix. And there's a real attempt that's doing that right now. And that is why it is so needed. Some years ago at Anchoring Light, the message that came and said, light workers, take your positions. Take your positions, because you're needed now. This is not a test. This is the real thing, whatever that position is for you. But the one thing we could say is to get out of the matrix, to open up more to who you are and the power you hold. This is the biggest illusion, delusion, miscreation, is that somehow we don't have any power. That is the biggest farce in the entire multiverse, because it seems that all other beings in the multiverse just know how powerful we are, except us. So again, the proverbial little baby elephant attached to a little stake with a little rope grows into this majestic beast, doesn't know how powerful it is. And that's sort of like our reality experience in this matrix. So yeah, you dream or have an inspiration or a spark, or your intuition wants to come online, you're sensing, you're feeling, and so forth. Those are the things that you nourish. Those are the things that you start to put attention on. And sometimes people say, well, I do it, nothing is happening. Patience, patience, patience. A lot of times, a lot of repetition. Continue to go, continue to believe, continue to move forward. Okay, because guess what? There is a divinely appointed time, which is different from our time matrix that we find ourselves in. Because what we're dealing with is beyond time and space, beyond time and space. So I want to say to each and every one, I think last week we talked about how important and precious you are, how important and who you are. You can only do what it is that you do. Nobody can take your place. Nobody can. So you, okay, try your best to be the best version of yourself, to go on your own individual journey, because when you go into your individual journey, we come together as a collective. Are you kidding me? You know how powerful we are? We make those what I call the counter force shake. Of course, they're coming after because they're scared, because the ascension is coming. The light and portals of light from the mystics from a long time ago to the mystics today have been praying and holding the higher vision of the planet. Okay. And more portals are opening up, more alignments. We are that powerful to co-create opportunities, connections, and so forth. So I just want to say to each and every person who might be hearing these words is to remember who you are. If you're not sure who you are, strive and seek. Knock on the door. Jesus the Christ said, knock and the door will be open. It will be. It 100% will be. And if it's not happening fast enough for you, we had that discussion today too. Be patient. I promise you will happen. Absolutely 100%. So with that, I want to say, let's continue our journey out of the matrix into the higher vision of truly who and what we are. Namaste, family of light on Facebook Live. We will now be going on to Zoom.